I'm Leo Evers and I'm a sustainability consultant. My carbon admission is that at one point in my life, I didn't think net zero was possible. From building knowledge and building experience, I have realised that it very much is possible. Sometimes you just need a bit of help and a bit of creative thought to get there. I've used knowledge to drive my career forward by understanding where the gaps in my knowledge are and trying to fill them. Working as a consultant, you're never going to know everything, right? But that is the excitement of it, to fill those gaps, to be even more useful to clients. The energy industry excites me because there is constant change. Not only are the markets and prices always going up and down, but there's always new regulations and new targets and new compliance for companies to adhere to. And it's just a constant balancing act. Various different organisations are at different stages of the journey. Some are very much right at the start and haven't a clue how to actually kick things off, and we can help with that, and we can help baseline their existing emissions and know what their starting point is. Baselining is basically setting a starting point of your journey to net zero. So it's working out how much energy you are consuming across your premises at the moment and calculating the emissions that you get from that. So baselining is great as a starting point because you can claim that we have, through various stages on that journey, we have reduced our emissions by 50%, we have reduced our emissions by 75%, but you can't do that unless you actually know what your starting point was. I think the question I'm most frequently asked about net zero from clients is, how do I fund this? How do I make this possible? And it's a really tricky one. A lot of businesses have pressure to keep costs down and to minimize spending. But there are creative ways that you can create revenue and ring fence savings so that they can be reinvested in the next step of your net zero pathway, which will then give you a further return on investment further down the line, which can just continue to be reinvested until you finally get to net zero. I think it's very important for organisations to be honest about what they don't know about net zero. It's okay to not know something, and if you don't acknowledge that you don't know something, you won't ask for more support and you could just get stuck. From an environmental perspective, it's very important because we live in a beautiful world. A lot of the time we can't see the impacts that our own emissions are having on this planet. A lot of the time the impacts are felt most on the other side of the world, but it's still our world, so it's important to minimize our own emissions as much as we can so that everyone can benefit from this planet that we live on. The main misconception I encounter from clients is that net zero requires sacrifice. I don't think that's true. I think it will inevitably require change, but it doesn't mean giving up anything.